All right, we're going to start here in about a minute. Okay, happy 5 o'clock on a Friday. At least that's what live is to me here right now. Usually I'm doing this up on the stage and the show here for the New Homes Remodeling Show. We don't get to do that this year. We're all super bummed about that. But regardless, we have this opportunity to talk to you guys, hopefully provide some helpful and valuable feedback and content for homeowners who are thinking about doing a remodeling project. So don't hesitate to put something in the chat box. We are here to help you out, and if you don't comment, then I'm going to be alone. And if anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a fan of that. Back when the shutdown happened back earlier this year or last year now, and everybody was locked down and couldn't go to people's houses, blah 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 blah. Like I ended up having to like call old friends from college just to be like, hey, I need to interact with somebody socially. So don't hesitate to comment with all of your remodeling related questions here in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them to the best of our ability. Okay, so the content that I have here for us today is how do you prepare for a remodel? And the answer is you can't. So we're going to wrap it up and go home. Actually, we'll hopefully provide you a little bit more helpful content than that. But the reality is what we do is extremely difficult. And before you enter into remodeling project, you got to weigh out some of the difficulties that you're going to run into. It's a stressful time for everybody involved. But there are some very practical things that we can get to in order to be able to help make what is inherently complex and difficult and emotionally stressful, make that go away that helps everybody get through it with as few stomach ulcers as possible. So when I go to people's houses and we're talking about a potential remodeling project, one of the things that we talk about is the fact that people who do remodeling are a little bit crazy, right? Because what you're essentially trying to do, or what you are doing, is inviting lots of strangers into your house for an extended period of time to take a lot of your money or home equity or savings, and then to disrupt your entire lifestyle and structure around your home for an extended period of time, knowing that during that there's going to be a lot of unknowns that are going to come up and complications to the project that will be likely on almost can be expected. And then you add to that, which is the normal reality of remodeling, the difficulties that we're working through right now as the result of the COVID stuff, right? So my analogy has been what's it like going northbound on 131 during a holiday weekend? It's difficult, right? You got a lot of traffic, a lot of people trying to get to the same place at the same time. Well, if you add to that the complexity of like a jackknife semi in the middle of the road, well, that makes everything more difficult. So as remodelers right now, we're dealing with a lot of volume. A lot of people are in their homes. People are in their homes, viewing their homes from perspectives they hadn't viewed them before, having to work from home now. And so a lot of people are calling us being like, hey, I need that home office. We need that that basement finished. We need that addition or whatever that might be. So we're dealing with a lot of volume on our end. And then additionally, we have a lot of issues that are coming up as a result of COVID. So some of our trade partners have had to shut down their businesses for a period of time due to people being sick. Lead times on products are extended right now. A year ago at this time, I could have expected a window lead time to be around 2 weeks. And now our normal supplier is 12 weeks. What are we supposed to do with something like that? So there are some complexities and some difficulties that the COVID has brought on what we try to do that makes it all the more difficult. So here we are. It's the reality of it, and we're moving, we're shaking, and we're doing what we can to make things happen. Okay. Hopefully this will come across on the live stream. This is something we share with people regularly. This is the Oh, it's backwards. Hopefully it's not backwards for you guys. I'm sorry if it is. It goes the other way if it looks backwards. The remodeling emotional roller coaster, right? So you can see lots of peaks and valleys that are come along with the process. Everything's excited when everybody's excited when the project gets started, the demolition, especially if you have young boys around the house, like they love the excavators and the trucks and the hammers and the dumpsters all arriving, and it's all exciting, right? And that lasts until the reality of the fact that your lifestyle is being disrupted sets in a little bit. So then it goes downhill from there, and it typically bottoms out a little bit after the drywalling process is finished, because it's dusty, it's dirty, and you've just at that point start to feel like you want this to be done, but it's not done, and we have a lot of work yet to do. But we get you there, right? A good remodeler will get you there. And so that's what this is about. Ask your questions, but we'll go through some practical ways that you can mentally and physically and emotionally prepare for the remodeling process. We'll go into a couple of those things here real quick. So practical steps to mitigate some of the inherent difficulties that come along with remodeling. First one, once the project gets started, make one person in the family, in the household, the spokesperson for relaying communication back and forth. It gets even more, what's already complicated gets more complicated when there are mixed signals being passed back and forth. Like, we told this to this person and it gets relayed via telephone back and forth and blah, blah, blah. Like, if there's one person in the family that can be like, all right, I'm just going to act as the liaison to the contractor. We're going to funnel community signals back and forth. Another thing, just expect the unexpected, right? Nobody can prepare you for all the unforeseen things that might come up, right? We do our best on our process on the front end of the project to nail down a lot of those uncertainties. We take the time, we're getting people on site, but it's remodeling. It's not new home construction. Nobody has ever remodeled your home like we're going to be remodeling your home, right? So every time we start a project, that project has never been done before. And so we're all entering into this with a level of uncertainty as to what we're going to find and what we're going to uncover. So we might run into some late deliveries that slow down a schedule, right? One of the things that we're dealing with right now in the home improvement market is treated lumber. You might have gone to Lowe's or Home Depot over the summer and even again recently and see bare sections on the shelves. Some things are difficult for us to come by right now, and things that are normally there aren't there right now. What are we supposed to do with that? And so we're having to adjust, and it just, again, adds to the complexity of what can happen during a remodel. So things break, right? We've had cabinets arrive for kitchens that arrive damaged in the box. Oh, what a letdown that is, right? What do we do at that point? Well, man, it's going to cause a delay. Wrong parts, and you know what? We make mistakes too, and so we got to account for that. The biggest thing you can do, though, as a homeowner preparing for this remodel is really to partner with your contractor, build that trust with them, make sure you trust them, so that when these things come up, you have already established open lines of communication. You've already established that level of trust. At no point in time do we ever view our clients as the enemy when unforeseen circumstances arrive, right? And we want that back from you as well. We want to have that relationship so that when these things come up, hey, this is a problem. How can we work through this together? We're a team, right? We're in this together, and we got to figure it out together. Make sure you have that relationship with your contractor moving forward. So bad weather, changes happen, those kinds of things. So expect the unexpected, right? Appoint one person to be that liaison to the contractor. Expect the unexpected. A couple more things. And I touched on this already, but remember that we make mistakes, right? Like I said, nobody has ever remodeled your home like we are remodeling your home right now. So not only have we never done this project before, but then we add in the human factor of like, oh, we missed this. We forgot that. We damaged this. You know, the good news is if you hire a remodeler, a contractor who is established and who runs a business in a way that's built on trust and isn't asking you for another draw so that he can get his truck fixed or something like that, then you can have the confidence that when those mistakes happen, they're going to stand behind their work and they're going to get it done. So, but be patient, right? We're human. We make mistakes. And just like you would show grace to your child or to your spouse when something happens and they make a mistake, we would ask that you show that to us as well during the process. But we are committed, and any good remodeler is committed to making sure that your home is as beautiful as you expected it to be when you set out to do this project. And so whether it's us or somebody else, they're committed to that. Like our reputation rides on that. We can't leave you. We're not going to divorce you in the middle of the project and leave it halfway done, right? We're going to see it through together for you. And sometimes that means we have to eat costs and make things right, but we'll make it right. Any good remodeler is going to make it right. The end product will be what we committed to make it being. So that's the takeaway there. So preparing for a remodel, remember always that scheduling is complex. There's so many contingencies built into these projects. Take, for example, a kitchen remodel, right? So if cabinets go in, then we template for a countertop. Then we have the plumber coming back to set the sink and the faucet, right? What happens if one of the cabinets arrives damaged? Well, that set back the template, that set back the countertop, now that's setting back the plumber. That's the complexity of what we run into on these schedules. Because there's so many contingencies and this has to happen in this certain order, we have to have these inspections and then we can do this and then we have this that happens next. If we get a delay for one reason or another, it can throw a lot of different things into a loop. So make sure you have a project manager that has open communication with you during that process. So when things come up on the schedule, make sure you keep those lines of communication open so that you know what to expect and can continue moving forward. So think about all of the different people that might be involved on a project. So framing, siding, insulation, masonry, finished carpentry, roofing, painters, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, HVAC, the list goes on. So there's a lot of different people, a lot of different moving parts that could be happening at any given time. And that's a complicated mess sometimes. So concrete's got to cure. Paint's got to dry. Drywall, well, it's only one room that we're doing. Well, the mud has to dry, then it has to be sanded, and then it has to be mudded again, and then it has to be sanded again. That takes time, and that's working all the different parts out to make it flow can also often be difficult. So make sure that you're patient and that you're asking questions. Hey, a good remodeler is going to be forthright with you regarding where we're at in the schedule, what changes might be necessary, and what has to happen in order to keep things moving slowly for you. Don't forget to pop some questions in below. We got more content to go over here, but I'd love to hear what questions you have, not only regarding how to prepare for a remodel, but remodeling questions in general. This is my day job. It's what I do all day, every day. So I can't say I'm perfect at it, but I do a lot of it. I see a lot of different stuff. So I'm happy to help you talk through your project and see what we can do to help you out there. Okay, personal belongings. You need to get those buttoned down when it comes to preparing for a remodel. So take advantage of this time. So let's say you have some drapes or some blinds in your home that, you've been needing to get those cleaned for a while anyway. What a great time to take those down and send them off to get them cleaned, right? Because that way they get cleaned while the remodeling project is going on. There's going to be some dust no matter what we do. So might as well get those things cleaned while the remodeling project's going on. That way, after we're done and we do that whole house clean for you, you can set those blinds back up and everything's ready to go. Same thing with like if you want to do any reupholstering or refinishing of any of your furniture. This is a great time to like send that off, get it done. So that when the project is done, not only do you have this great remodel project that's completed, but you also have some of these other things that you've been kind of putting off that can get done right as well. All right. I have a question here. Would it make sense to wait for all remodel items to show up before starting a remodel, as in making sure the cabinets are in garage, warehouse, and unbroken? It's a good question. So that's one of the things that we do in our process. So once we go through all your selections and we get everything nailed down, we sign that contract, we get a down payment, then we start ordering all of those things right away. Some things need to get started. The thing about the cabinets, it's a great question. Sometimes like the box, we've had cabinets where the box arrived perfect, like no damage, but like you open the box and the cabinet damaged inside of the box, and somebody made a mistake in a warehouse somewhere. So there are things that we do and can do to help mitigate some of that, like ordering all of that stuff up front. Yes, that is part of our process. There is no perfect system though to make sure that everything is going to be right by the time it gets there and is done. So we do what we can. We stage things at our location. If you have extra room at your home, we definitely stage things there as well as we're gearing up and ramping up for the process. But there isn't a perfect way to make sure that nothing's going to be wrong in there. Great question. Here's a little thing. Some contracts are fixed price, knowing that okay, it's a lump sum type project. Other projects are more of a time and material basis or a cost plus basis. So no matter what you do, one thing we would never recommend that you do would be to time clock people. Like, Billy was only here for 6 hours yesterday, and I don't feel like I got as much value out of him as I could have. Like, that only builds resentment, right? Everybody's there to do their job and wants to do it right. Now, if there's a quality issue or something isn't getting done right, obviously let's talk that through. We want to make sure it's right for you, but don't time clock the workers to be making sure that like all that builds resentment. Like, if you hire a contractor that you trust, they're going to do the right thing by you. And sitting around hovering over somebody, clocking them while it's happening tends to build some resentment and might not be as helpful. When you're doing a remodel, things can get disrupted, right? So let's say, for example, the plumber is there to do a disconnect. You might be without water for a few hours at a time. Plan for that. So it's going to happen if any plumbing work is involved. There's going to be periods of time where you're going to be without water. So get that info. Hey, project manager, when should I prepare for not having water? That's a great question to ask. You might want to get an extra 5-gallon bucket or something around to flush the toilet and a couple extra times, just in case it's going to be an afternoon and you got the kids at home or something like that. Or you might want to have a couple gallons of water in the refrigerator for people to drink during that time. So that's a possibility. Being without power. If we're doing a service upgrade as part of what we're doing in your home, you have one of those old 100 amp services from back in the day, and we're adding on, and we got to go to a 200 amp service. There's going to be a period of time when you're out of power. So how long is that going to be? How long am I going to be without power? Do I have the refrigerator and freezer all ready to go for that? Do I have anything that requires constant electricity that I need to figure out some logistics for? So plan ahead for being without power or potentially without water for at least some sort of periods of time, depending on the size and scope of your project, so that when those things come up, you're not caught off guard and you can go from there. Any other questions? Think about some of the complexities, and we've touched on this a little bit already, but of logistics involving the deliveries, shipping, ordering materials, and us trying to make efficient use of the time when it comes to that. So we, as a remodeler, are as anxious as you are to have the job finished. Once in a while, some of these things get missed. So just consider the complexities of the logistics involved in some of these things. One of the issues we're having right now is there's a shortage in regards to trucking and drivers and that kind of thing. So deliveries, which used to be regular, and we could predict those schedules, not as much right now. So component deliveries are getting spread across more trucks than they used to, and things aren't coming together. They're just doing manufacturing facilities are just trying to do their best to get product out right now because they're behind. And so some of the times the logistics of that gets caught up, and that's causing some additional complexity with some of the scheduling that we're working through right now. So just something else to keep in mind. Any other questions? Oftentimes you might be tempted to ask why in regard to something. You might not the process of how we get there is sometimes also complicated as well. So when you see a process that you don't fully understand, take that right to your project manager. Don't be afraid to ask him that question. If you're going directly to the workers, sometimes they might not know the complexities of what they're doing right now. So for example, asking an HVAC tech how the intricacies of the BTUs for the furnace work, for the airflow in this area of the home. That might not be his area of expertise, right? So there's probably somebody else that we can get to and take those types of questions, specific why type questions to the project manager. That way he can find, either he has the answer himself, or he will be able to find the right person to be able to get you that information. There's the tendency to be like, well, Billy over here doesn't know the answer to this question. Can we even trust Billy now? That may not be Billy's area of expertise. Take those why questions to your project manager and let him filter that for you to make sure you get the accurate and the right information that you need. All right, we do have a question here. So regarding vetting subcontractors / trade partners. So it's no secret. You see these articles in the news fairly regularly, at least I do, because I pay attention to this kind of stuff, but there is a labor shortage, and it is difficult. It's a problem that's not going to be going away anytime soon. We have supply issues with housing, and so there's a lot of demand right now, but we are also dealing with supply issues on the labor end of things. There are a lot of hacks out there as well. So filtering through that is something that, boy, that it takes. We have people on our staff here that take a lot of time to make sure that insurance is complied with, like people have the right insurance. Like that's one of the things that we do. We set the bar fairly high regarding workers' compensation insurance, liability, automobile liability insurance, all those kinds of things to make sure that people that we have go to your house have all the right credentials. That's a lot of compliance that we require of our trade partners to make sure that they're up to snuff, and so that if something bad were to happen, that you're not liable and you're not subject to any issues as a homeowner, but that's going to be handled through the proper insurance means. So that's one of the things we do. We set the bar pretty high on the insurance and compliance side of things. We also have worked with a lot of the people that we currently work with over an extended period of time. So when Andy shows up to your house and he's the electrician, this isn't the first time. This is not our first rodeo with Andy. We've had Andy on our team as you know, with Swanson Electrical for several years now. So we're confident in his work because he's never screwed anybody over, at least that we've ever known of, and he's always done a good job for our clients. Same thing with our plumber, same thing with our HVAC team. So these are relationships that we work hard and try to establish with people. There are different trades that are more difficult right now. So some of those would be like trim carpenters and framers. Those are difficult. The demand for them is so high that they're spread very thin in our market, and so that sometimes is a little bit tricky for us. We have some in-house staff that help with some of those things, but same thing goes the case for them. We've had people on our team for an extended period of time that we've known for a year, 2 years that have done a good job for us on multiple projects. So as far as vetting them process goes, making sure they have the right insurance and insurance requirements. If they don't, haven't taken the time to do that and set up a business, obviously they're not taking this seriously enough that we should take the time to view them seriously. So do they have a legitimate business? What references do they have? Show us your work. So we require that, before we do work with someone, we've either interacted with them on a project that they've worked on previously, or that we've used some of their work if we have to bring on somebody new. So we look for legitimate people, legitimate contractors, legitimate companies that have a name, have a reputation already in place, because at the end of the day, we have to stand behind what they do as well. Great question. One of the things that you can do as a homeowner that will breed trust is just the little things, right? Maybe a cookie and a cup of coffee, right? Just a little bit of humanness goes a long way with your remodeler to show that, hey, here's a little bit of warm coffee on our cold morning. That, as you're preparing for a remodel, maybe think through a way or two that you could look to be a blessing to the people that are coming into your home, right? It's stressful for the people that are coming into your home just as it's stressful for you, because they want to do a good job. They want to make you happy with your project. And so showing a little bit of human kindness and basic interpersonal relationship type things like a cup of coffee or a cookie can go a long way to build and establish trust with them, and to make sure that you're going to reap rewards for that as the homeowner, because you get this. There's people that they treat you a certain way, and like our visceral reaction is to do something back in a certain way, but like, you will reap rewards, and this is very pragmatic, but you will reap rewards as the homeowner when you respond to people with that type of kindness. You'll probably get a better product. You'll get a smiling face, and boy, that's worth the cup of coffee. One of the things that can try your patience during the remodel process is the punch list, right? You've already been through this weeks or months long remodel project, and you can move back in almost, right? So sometimes, and most of the time, there's some sort of punch list or item that's not quite there. This is an opportunity, again, for some additional patience. We want to get this done, just like you want to have us out of your life so you can get back to normal. Oftentimes, almost every time, there's some sort of punch list item that just keeps us from going away. And by this time, you're ready for us to go away, and that's okay. So up all the way until the end, you're going to have to be a little bit patient as we look to hammer out final details. Maybe something was on back order. We're wrapping up a remodel project right now. Everything's done except for the rope hook. It was on back order. And so we got to go back here in a couple of weeks and install the rope hook because it was on back order and there's nothing we can do about it. So little things like that can come up. And just remember that even when you get to the end of the project, it might not be the end. There might be those little punch list items. A door panel has to get replaced because it got scratched, or and whatever it might be. There are so many hundreds of items that could come up in a final punch list. Rest assured, we want to have you off our books just like you want to have us out of your life. And we're going to get you there. It just is going to take a little bit more patience until we can finally get to that point together. You will, and we've talked about this too, but you're going to get remodeling fever. And this goes back to your whole lifestyle has been disrupted, and you're going to be ready for us to be out of your life. That's when typically the lowest point for this is after drywall, because it's been the messy, dirty part of the phase yet. You're not seeing the cabinets in, you're not seeing the flooring in, or the trim, or the light fixtures that you've picked out. Like all the guts of the project have gotten done, but all that time that you took before the project started to get all your selections made, you're not seeing any of that pretty stuff yet. You're gonna run into a little bit of remodeling fever. Like, is this done yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Just like our kids ask that of us when we're on our way to a destination somewhere. No, we are not there yet. In fact, we have only left the gate. But we'll just keep in mind that you're gonna have those feelings. It's a natural part of the process. So when you talk about how to prepare for a remodel, prepare for the fact that you're gonna have those feelings come up, and just know how to address them at that time. Okay. Any other questions out there? I've been rambling here for about half an hour now. So give me something. How can I help? Anything related to preparing for a remodeling project, or just a general remodeling question. I skipped over the question earlier, but somebody asked, where do I get a vest like that? That's a great question. And I don't know the answer to that, because my staff got this vest for me. It was a Christmas present actually this year for me, so I love it a lot. They did a great job getting it designed and picked out. So there we go. You'll have to talk to my office manager. She can get back to you on that. I'm going to make it awkwardly silent here for a minute so that you're forced to ask a question. If you don't ask questions, I might have to go into a monologue of all of my remodeling horror stories. Story time with Derek. While you're thinking of those questions, I'll share a story. This isn't a horror story, actually. This is something that happened during a remodel project back a long time ago that I was involved in. I was just a boy still. Actually, my dad did some remodeling type work. We were actually moving a house. So you know where M37 is, right before, where it splits into the divided highway going north. There used to be a house where the 7-Eleven and the Speedways are right now. And he had purchased that home as part of the acquisition that the gas company had made, and we were going to be moving that home north of Grand Rapids and setting it up on a foundation. Well, during that process, part of the house had a stone fireplace in it, and we had to cut that portion of the house off in order to move it. And in doing that process, long story, not quite as long as it has to be, there was a pipe inside of behind the vent underneath that fireplace hearth. And when the movers, the people that were moving the company, pulled that out, they found a substantial amount of cash inside of that pipe. We turned it over to the authorities and it was dealt with appropriately, but you never know. I also found an anti-tank missile launcher inside of a cavity inside of a home that we tore apart one time. Maybe I shouldn't put that on the internet. Maybe the NSA is listening and is wondering where that thing might be right now. Never mind. Sales process. So the process of remodeling. This is extremely important. So we haven't always done it this way. And the reason we don't do it the way we used to do it is because the way we used to do it sucked. And there's a lot of people who do it the right way, and there's a lot of people who do it the sucky way. At least that's my opinion on how it is. So you have the whole, you don't know what you don't know as a homeowner when it comes to remodel. Why should you, right? Or modeled like this before. In fact, nobody has modeled your house like this before. We've already talked about that. So when it comes to the model, the expectation is that there is some sort of estimate involved in this process, right? And so what is an estimate? An estimate is a guess based off of potential items, right? So it is your estimate is a gift. So when we say we do provide you with an estimate, we can definitely do that. When I come out there to your home, we'll talk about, hey, this kitchen remodel or this addition, blah blah blah. What could it cost? Well, we've probably done a couple projects like that before. Account for some inflation and some pricing increases. You're probably going to be this to this, right? That in one sense is an estimate. Because remodeling is unique, because remodeling is specific to you and your needs, we're not building spec homes, right? We're remodeling your house in a way that has never been remodeled before. It requires a lot of detail to make sure that what we are giving you is what you can afford and what you want. So it's not like a car where you can go up and you have 7 options. In the general model that you're looking for, and you see all the different price tags, and you can say that one, right? It's not like that. There are so many intricacies and different options to choose from when it comes to like your faucet or your countertops. Quartz countertops can range in price from starting at around, call it $55, $60 a square foot, all the way up to $140 a square foot. We're more than doubling that for just this one item. And that is true across the board. So when it comes to the process of how we get you, the homeowner, from, hey, I want to do this project, to this is the project we're going to do, we have 3 steps. So step 1 for us is, we call it concepts. What could it look like and what might it cost? Right? Because we're trying to get our heads around with you what you like, what your goals are, where your pain points are in the home, and how we can get you from this is what our ideas are, this is what's feasible, and this is what our budget is, into something that resembles reality. So we start with conceptual designs. This is what it could look like, and then we marry that with a preliminary cost projection. Again, it's more on the lines of an estimate. This is what we think we could potentially do this project for. So better than what I can do when I'm on site with you guys for a half an hour, when we're talking through some generalities of your project. We'll take that now conceptual design that has been rendered in 3D for you so you can visualize it. We're working together with you. We take the wife's Pinterest profile and we take that and incorporate that into design to make sure we're not just spinning out some sort of random design, but we're incorporating your ideas, your likes and dislikes into what this process and what this project could look like. So we take that conceptual design and partner that up with a preliminary cost projection. So that's concepts for us. What could it look like? And then what might it cost? Okay. If you like what it looks like, generally speaking, we're kind of tracking down the same path, and the budget number still works. We move from the concepts into a plan. So this is where we get out of estimating as far as generalities and guessing, and we get very specific with you as far as what it's going to be. So we're going to pick out your wall color, SW7024, Sherwin-Williams paint color. We're going to pick out your trim color and your accent wall color and your countertops and your faucet and your doorknobs and your cabinet knobs and your flooring and your shoe style and your case style and your base style and all the 174 things that have to go into this project. Additionally, during that second part, we're going to take preliminary numbers that we've used from historical data that we've from previous projects that we've done, and we're going to convert those into hard numbers. So the electrician is going to get on site, the plumber is going to get on site, the HVAC guy is going to get on site, and they're all going to look at their project, and they're going to individually do their own due diligence as to what is exactly going to take to get this scope. So we've converted now conceptual designs into construction documents. So we have a plan. We're ready for permits as far as these plans are concerned. And now we're going to convert those preliminary cost projection numbers into hard numbers through a series of additional site visits and detailed selections and specifications. All of that goes into our system, and we're super transparent with all of our pricing. So we break down every line item for you. Nothing is concealed or hidden from that perspective. It's not just a lump sum at the bottom. It is all broken down, because again, it's not like that car. It's not a unit that you can purchase. It's a combination of hundreds, potentially thousands of line items that it's all going to take to help you build. At no point do we ever just throw you out there and say, hey, figure it out, come back to us when you're ready. We sit with you. We have a showroom here. We got faucets and paint colors and knobs and quartz and granite and many of the things that it's going to take to get you there. If we can't find it here, we're right down the street from Virginia Tile and Dwyer Marble and Stone and Piscucci, and a lot of those other places are right here next to our showroom. And we will work with you. We'll go with you to those places to make sure that you like it and it works for your budget. So concepts, what could it look like? What might it cost? Second, we're going to move into a plan. This is what it's going to be, getting those construction documents pulled together, and this is what it's going to cost. We've worked through all those selections, specifications, and details through a series of site visits and showroom visits to get this project really nailed down and to eliminate as many of those unknowns as we possibly can. Right. So one of the reasons for doing this is that, when we get the plumber on site and he sees the project and he sees what he's going to have to tie into and how it's going to all work and flow together, we can eliminate a lot of those. Oh, we didn't think about that. And what about this? Now, we don't want to give you, the homeowner, a bunch of change orders after that project is started. As a result of the process, our homeowners change things on us way more often than we change things on homeowners, and it eliminates a lot of those uncertainties during the process. So what could it look like? What might it cost? That's our concepts portion of what we do. Then we move into the plan. What is it going to look like? Let's get those construction documents nailed down, and let's get all of our selections made. Let's get our partners on site, making sure that all of that stuff is pulled together, that we're precise with it. Then we review all of that with you, probably a couple times, just to make sure that we're getting everything nailed down. Oh, what about a storm door? No, we don't have a storm door on here. Do you want a storm door? Oh, okay, well, let's add a storm door. If you want what you want, it costs what it costs, let's plug it in. So we'll work through that process with you. We sign a contract, and then you write checks, we do work. Here's another one. Should I move out? I get this question asked quite a bit. Should I move out during a remodeling project? Maybe. Depends. How invasive are we going to be? We're about ready to kick off a project in Caledonia where we're decapitating the house, adding a second story onto it. And they're going to be moving out because the three little kids aren't going to that's not going to end well for anybody. So yeah, they're moving out, and we're going to have free reign to the house here for a few months while we add a second story on and give them enough room to be able to get everything taken care of for you. So it really depends on the project. But if you have in-laws and you don't hate them and you can move in with them for a couple months while X is being done to your home, it might not be a bad idea. So it really depends on the size and the scope of your project. But that might be something you need to prepare for. You might need to also budget. Here's some things that you would maybe not regularly think of, but maybe you should budget for when you're thinking about a remodel. Uber Eats, right? Your food budget's probably going to go up a little bit because if you don't have a kitchen, then it's not going to be as easy or as functional to be able to cook, and you're going to be way more inclined to be able to order some takeout than you would otherwise be. So maybe budget a little bit for that. Do you need a pod? If we have some stuff that is not going to work to keep it in the garage or in the house and it's got to go somewhere, do you need to budget for some additional storage or a storage unit or something like that for a few months while this project's going on? So maybe budget a little bit more for food, maybe a budget for some storage. That's some other, and then potentially think through some logistics of if you need to move out of the house during a project, depending on how invasive it might be. All right, we have about 5 minutes left. So speak now or don't speak now and then shoot me an email later or give me a call. Either one. How do we get a hold of you? Well, this here, and if you put that into the Google, we come up. Other remodeling horror stories, things that you might need to think through or prepare. What? Let's see. I think I told you some of the more crazy things that we've come across with the finding the cache inside the home and the anti-tank missile launcher thing. That those definitely stick out in my mind. Found some crack cocaine wrapped up in a dollar bill behind a medicine cabinet once. Man, oh man, nobody's ever remodeled like we've remodeled, right? Yeah, we run into we see some funny things and some crazy things. Found, yeah, lots of stuff. Bats, we run into those. We're removing some siding or some soft water fascia. Our guys run into those from time to time. It's something that you can never quite emotionally prepare for, is being up on a ladder and having a bat fly out at you. But part of what we do, right? That really applies to you as the homeowner, but just things that we run into as remodelers. Got a couple minutes left. Anybody has a last minute question, be happy to answer it for you. And we'll take it from there. Well, we're sad that we could not do the new homes and remodeling show this year. Although we did joke with the team that maybe it's a good thing because we wouldn't have been able to do any of the work anyway. Okay, that's not entirely true. We can still help you out, but we do usually get a fair amount of influx from that, and we're really busy right now. So I guess I would say that if you're thinking about a remodel, another way you can prepare as a homeowner is be patient. I've said that a lot. I'll say it again, reiterate it. We're dealing with a lot of volume, right? It's northbound 131 on a holiday weekend with a jackknife semi in the middle of the road. Things are moving slow right now, and it's not because we don't love you, and it's not because we don't want to take all of your money and make a beautiful house for you or anything like that. It's just that we're dealing with a lot right now, and we're doing our best to keep up, and things are moving. They're just moving more slowly than we'd like often. And so I'm sure I know we're not unique in that. Other remodelers that I've talked to are in a similar situation. So just be patient, communicate, don't ever hesitate. It doesn't bother me for you to reach out. And sometimes, we do our best to be proactive with our communication. It's often difficult for us though. So don't hesitate to reach out to your remodeler and be just like, hey, I know you're working hard. I just wanted to touch base and see where we're at. That's never a problem. So, well, great. It's 5:50. I'm going to sign off from here. I appreciate the opportunity. Feel free to Google us, find us there at Amber Valley Construction, or give us a phone call. And we're happy to talk through your questions, meet you, just have a conversation and go from there. So signing off for now. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks.